I think where I was disappointed was, Lindsay and Carl kind of making our business everybody's business. I didn't see that coming.
All right. Well, I know that we are just one episode into Summer House, but how are you feeling going into this season? Were you excited? Were you anxious? Were you nervous?
Look, this is kind of old hat for me, just in terms of reliving some of the drama, but it was a little bit uncharted territory for me and Carl, so I think I definitely had some anxiety just because A, we got to relive it. B, there's going to be things that I see for the first time, I hear for the first time. But it is what it is. This is what we subject ourselves to.
Right. Was there anything in the first episode that surprised you?
No, look, this was, several months in the making, Carl and I just kind of beating around the bush, not having a conversation about his role and all that good stuff. It was clear to me that he clearly had conversation with Lindsay about quitting, right? If she's saying, hey, you're going to let him down one way or the other, then clearly, it was all right, well, if you're not working together, you're going to prioritize your friendship. It wouldn't be the other way around. But yeah, no real surprises. I think it gets a little more animated in episode 2, where I kind of hit my breaking point, and I said some things in the heat of the moment that I probably regret, but that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Were you surprised that Carl made the announcement that he left Loverboy during an interview? Were you hoping to maybe do it together?
Yeah, I was hoping that we could be a little more vague, because I'm always hopeful that there's an opportunity to work together again. So, but that said, I just, it was kind of inevitable. We know that some of the work relationship drama, if that's how you want to kind of sum it up, was going to be front and center, the first half of the season as we kind of work through that. So we knew we were going to get asked. And one thing Carl and I never do is lie. So yeah, I think he's handled it well. We're all trying to handle it the best we can, even though it's sensitive. It's a sensitive subject.
Yeah, no, definitely. Has the company felt the impact of Carl leaving since, in the teaser you say maybe it wouldn't?
Look, he played an integral role, in very early on, essentially being our first sales hire. It was an amazing feeling having a friend be so supportive and convinced that this was a great opportunity for him to join me. You know what I mean? And sure, I think some of my frustration is when he talks about feeling underappreciated and underpaid. And I'm like, let's not forget about all of the things that I put up with. I've been as patient of a boss, because I know him on a personal level, as I could be, to the point where, this past year, part of my patience was letting him try to literally redefine his role. I was like, it's clear you're no longer, in a true sales capacity. His role had morphed into being kind of leading the charge in some of these market activations where there are events where he is the face of the brand, because I'm busy running it. I can't be at every party if I'm also running the company. And so that was the role that he was playing. He was very well aware of that. And yeah, I think that our conversation about formally redefining it just got pushed off and kind of punted down the field. And I wish we could have tackled that earlier. I think where I was disappointed was, Lindsay and Carl kind of making our business everybody's business. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. What was that final conversation like when he told you that he was leaving? Is that how it happened? Or did you kind of present it to him that maybe it's time for you to go?
It was a long time in the making. It was in November, right? And it was after many, many months of him, not really focusing on work. so it wasn't like a Band-Aid was ripped off. To answer your previous question, did the company feel the impact? Him being checked out was actually brought to my attention by other employees. This wasn't something like me and Amanda, observed. I was almost purposely or subconsciously almost turning a blind eye to it. Sorry. And so I answered your last question. What was what was your most previous question?
Was he fired?
Oh, no. I mean,
okay.
He gave me plenty of opportunities to fire him. He resigned in good graces. And so, like I said, it was kind of a long time coming.
Right. I mean, Amanda said that she kind of had a feeling that he was going to leave once he got sober. Did you feel that as well? Or do you feel like this was maybe Lindsay getting in his ear a little bit?
I think it was all the above. I think that when he first started, he was, one of our first hires, right? We're now over 20 people. He's technically the first one to leave. And so, his role had already kind of started to change. Like the last time he was in a true sales role was actually 2020. So, I think what Amanda's kind of alluding to is he kind of naturally evolved his role into this, support role where he's throwing these events, sometimes with me, sometimes without me.
Right.
And it was only a matter of time where he's like, if my time here is spent basically intermingling with, fans that are drinking and I'm sober, like that's gonna wear me down. So from that, I think there's a lot of layers. I think there's definitely Lindsay in his ear convincing him he's underappreciated. He was not. Everybody appreciated Carl, but I can respect the fact that hosting events where the only thing we're serving is booze is not potentially a long-term role. Yeah.
Do you feel like Carl has changed since dating Lindsay?
Yeah. I mean, when I said he's unrecognizable, it had nothing to do with him not partying and not drinking, right? Like he cut back on his booze season 5 and then was stone cold sober season 6. And, we still had a good time, plenty of laughs, so I think that he's kind of adjusting to this new role where he's filming with his significant other. He wants to make her happy. She's his new focus, his number one priority. And, I think what people are just kind of seeing is even when Lindsay might be wrong, he's now, whereas once upon a time, he might see things differently. He's like, hey, she's my soon to be fiance. I'm going to support her no matter what.
Right.
I think that was like new for everybody, right? Cause like, it's not like Carl's in this new relationship and it's like, oh, let's all be supportive no matter what. We all have our own history with them individually.
Yeah. Is that maybe why, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people really were on board for this relationship maybe early on. Is that maybe why? Because everybody has like a different history with them individually and it's kind of weird seeing them come together?
I can't speak for everybody. I don't know where some of the animosity comes from. I think that they're definitely a lot, right? And they put on like this kind of picture perfect facade. And, one thing that Amanda and I have always tried to be, true to is like, hey, we're not perfect. And I think people are a little weirded out by just how perfect they're trying to come across.
Yeah.
But hey, they're in love, and however weird it might be, I was like, hey, I'm on board. I love you guys, and I love that you found each other. Right. So, it's all the emotions.
Right. I mean, Carl said that you're still figuring out the friend aspect of your relationship. Do you still feel that as well? And what's kind of the status of you guys right now?
I mean, it's a little surprising to hear that, just because like we did get dinner, we caught up. I think we kind of like addressed some things that hadn't been addressed. I think we'll always be good friends. It's just a matter of where do I stand with Lindsay? Where does Amanda stand with Lindsay? Right? It's just, there's so many things that people have no clue about because, we interact year round and, these friendships kind of come and go and they evolve. So I'd like to think that there's a chance that we get right back to, particularly without Loverboy distracting us and giving us any type of misalignment. I think now more than ever, we can focus on our friendship.
Definitely.
So hopefully everything gets back to normal.
Yeah. Lindsay said on a podcast, I think recently, that she knew you were calculated after you said on Traders that people may be surprised to see that or something along those lines. What's kind of your response to that?
That she thinks I'm calculated?
Calculated, yes.
I think she's the most calculated person I've ever met, so I find that hysterical. I mean, she goes into a summer with a game plan. I'm just living my life. What I think I was actually referring to on Traders is that I play this goofball on Summer House where I don't look like I'm taking myself too seriously on the weekend, which is where 95% of the footage for our shows takes place. But I actually am a very strategic thinker. Like, I am calculated when it comes to like assessing things and sniffing things out and making judgments and seeing people for who they are. Like, that's what I was talking about. I'm like, take out the party element and people are going to see a different side of me. Not that like I manipulate people, which is, I think, the word that usually follows calculated.
What do you think Lindsay's game plan was going into this summer then?
To make it about her and Carl.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they can say what they want. Every couple is going to go through challenges. Okay. So no need to put up the facade. We're all friends here. We've all been through some shit. I think that it was very clear to me that they've had multiple conversations about Carl quitting. I paid him a full-time salary for an entire year when he spent most of it checked out. So, I was just hurt that, considering how patient I've been with him and how many chances I've given him and how I was working with him for quite some time to allow his role to evolve. Like, I hired experienced salespeople around him as the needs of our organization changed. I didn't fault him for not having some of the experience we would need as the company grew. I was like, let's change your role. Let's let you evolve. So, I mean, I think where I was just disappointed was, where he thought that I would be taking advantage of him. I'm like, Carl, I was literally paying you to host parties. Like, that was what your job had kind of evolved into. So, I mean, I'm a little hurt that was how he felt, because I think that was very much influenced by Lindsay, not by me.
Yeah. Where do you stand with Lindsay now? Do you have any sort of relationship? Because I know she and Amanda also had a bit of a falling out. So do you guys have any communication with her outside of filming?
Yeah, look, Lindsay and Amanda have had a complicated relationship ever since, Lindsay basically tried to bully her out of the house season 2 and at the season 2 reunion. I commend Amanda for taking the high road for years and years and years. I've tried to not let it affect my relationship with Lindsay, but I kind of hit a breaking point when she kind of went off on Amanda for simply responding to a question on Watch What Happens Live. We've all been in that hot seat. Amanda wasn't even the one to mention Lindsay's name. I mean, anybody that's ever worked with Lindsay knows that she can be rude, that she can be a lot. So the fact that she directed so much shit towards Amanda and then made it about Loverboy when it had nothing to do with Loverboy was just kind of insane to me. I mean, she really spins things. So I've yet to really reconcile with her. I wanted to start with Carl. But some things that she pulls off, behind closed doors, I don't know if they can be reconciled. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about how she handles herself a lot of people can't quite understand the tension And they just label the other girls mean girls, but it's like, I think that's a very unfair and inaccurate nickname for people that have, quite frankly, been on the opposite side of the meanness.
Right. Will you be officiating the wedding?
I do not expect to return the favor or be asked to. I don't think it's like, hey, you officiate my wedding, I officiate yours. Like I love Carl. I've always said I love Lindsay like a sister. We have our moments. I'm happy that they've found each other. I really do think that, you know, they built something amazing on this friendship and this support system that they've been for one another. And so I'm looking forward to their wedding. You know, I'd much rather organize a bachelor party and maybe help them hire a DJ than officiate.
Right. And then, you know, you and Amanda are not so much newlyweds anymore, but, you know, how did marriage change going into this summer? And did it change at all, or did you feel more at ease this summer than you did maybe in previous summers?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think you saw it on Winter House season 2, where we were like, oh my God, like, no one's just routinely questioning, are they going to get married? Are they going to pull it off? And then like last summer, just the sheer 3 years of buildup and the planning and the change of venues and the pandemic and the challenges and being locked down with one another while working on a startup. I mean, it was like literally the perfect storm. I don't think people can appreciate, like, everyone's like, why don't you just go plan your wedding? I'm like, I'm filming a show. I don't know how you kind of forget that part. Like, the crew isn't following us to our, you know, wedding planner's office. The crew's following us to the Hamptons. So it was just a huge sigh of relief to not kind of be in that hot seat, you know. And look, trust me, we've earned a lot of the shit that we've gotten, you know, primarily me, you know, and a lot of those hot seat moments were rightfully so. But, you know, just to not have our relationship and like, will they, won't they, are they meant for each other, for that not to be the talking track of the house is great.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it seems like Amanda gets emotional this season, you know, talking about possibly starting a family and maybe some challenges that you guys kind of overcome. How did that bring you closer together, and how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, and I don't want to say too much on her behalf because this is her, you know, kind of her own story. And, you know, we weren't like ready to immediately start a family, but she did want to get off birth control. She was like, this is not natural. I want my body to like self-regulate. And when she went off, she lost a bunch of weight, but never, you know, her body didn't go back to regulating. And so over time, it's just like, damn, wait, like, you haven't had your period for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, you know, and it was it was kind of concerning. And, you know, I think she kind of started to get in her own head as one might when you start wondering, like, what are the ramifications here? So that was tough just to watch her go through that. Also, all the hormonal changes. I was saying earlier to Bryce from ET that she was like breaking out, and you know, I gave her so much respect because I would have been so self-conscious. When we filmed season 2 of Winter House, it was like she was going through her first like acne breakout as like a teenager, because her hormones were just going crazy. And I just had so much respect because I don't think I would have had the balls to, if I granted women can wear makeup, but I was like, wow, you are a trooper.
No, definitely. The hormones, it can mess with you. It really does. It really does. I hope you guys are in a better place, and wish you guys nothing but the best in that, because I know it's difficult at times. It definitely is. Yeah,
no, I think we're in a much better place, you know, particularly with her personal health. So, you know, at the moment, we just have our hands full with our dogs.
Right. Yes, definitely. Those fur babies are no joke. They're a lot of work. What did you make of, you know, another friendship that kind of breaks down this summer, and we don't really know exactly why, is Danielle and Lindsay? Were you kind of shocked that friendship seems to be, you know, not in a great place? Yeah. It took me by surprise because when Danielle arrived, I mean, she was
her usual self. She was, ride or die, in support of Lindsay and Carl, like the Tres Amigos, right? Like from my perspective, nothing had changed. I got into it with Danielle because she started sticking up for Carl, because she heard me talking about our business relationship, unaware that the whole house, thanks to Carl and Lindsay, we're talking about our business relationship the previous weekend. So yeah, I was kind of shook just because I always thought they'd be, they've, like any friend, besties, they've gone through it before. They always, would butt heads at least once a summer, but this was like the real deal. So I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Think if they're at a point of no return, or do you think that this friendship can be salvaged?
I think it really takes both them to kind of self-reflect on their role. I tried to mediate some conversations, which you'll see, and it was very clear to me that they weren't really listening. Like Danielle was trying to express her feelings, and it was like bouncing off Lindsay like a brick wall. And I felt bad for both them, because I think on the flip side, I think Carl and Lindsay felt like they were being held responsible for the simple fact that they weren't hanging out with each other as much. But it's like they're both in relationships, and Robert's job kind of takes Danielle to Montauk, and meanwhile, like Carl and Lindsay are living in the city when they're out of the house. So yeah, I think it's a two-way street, and I think hopefully there's a way back towards some type of understanding or hopefully being friends again.
Yeah, in the first episode, it just obviously there was a disconnect, with Loverboy and even like schedules and things like that. Lindsay and Carl waking up at 7 a.m. for Barry's boot camp, things like that. Do you think that maybe they should have taken the summer off and just kind of concentrated on themselves?
Well, I don't know. Well, if Carl's quit, I don't know how they're paying for their wedding if they take the summer.
That's true. That is true.
So, yeah, look, I was a little like weirded out by the Barry's thing, and I know people are like, "Get over it, Kyle." But waking up at 7 a.m. to go to work out is what most people are doing Monday through Friday.
True. That is true.
And we have 3 new people in the house. I want to show people a good time. Like I love being that guy that kind of gets the party started, and I want everybody to have a memorable summer. And it going to bed at midnight to wake up at 7 a.m. is not my idea of a memorable summer in the Hamptons.
Totally.
I'm not saying everyone's got to be blacked out eating, cookie dough in the kitchen, but I was like, this is a weird way to start the summer by like basically asking everybody but me if I want to work out.
Yeah. What did you make of the new housemates? How did they change the dynamic this season?
I love them. They all like stepped up. It's a lot to walk into. Bunch of big personalities, plus the filming component, and they're very different from one another. But they all like came in, ready to party and make the most of their summer and meet people. There's some new romances that spark. The show still got that side of it, right? We eventually throw a party, good old house party where everyone has fun. We got some hookups. Yeah. And then there's some stable relationships, some new relationships, and some interdynamics among friends, but it's got it all.
It's got it all. I know you mentioned that you are gearing up for the Traders reunion. What are you most looking forward to kind of addressing during that?
Honestly, it's just going to be fascinating to hear people's opinions that they weren't confident enough to say out loud in the moment, right? Like at one point I'm like, am I the only one that's like figured this out? And then at the round table, when they all like decided to banish me, I'm like, clearly.
Right.
So it was kind of, the second someone was close to figuring something out, whether it was like Brandy or me or whoever, it was like, boom, they get banished. So I was like, good luck. You guys are barking up the wrong tree.
Totally.
So only 4 of us have done a true Bravo reunion. So I don't know what to expect from like a, fireworks display perspective, but we'll see.
Totally. It seems like Rachel and Kody are feuding. Do you have a side? Are you on anybody's side in this whole feud?
I'm a little out of the loop. First, it's like, while we're filming, it was Kate and Rachel. Now I'm hearing it's Kody and Rachel. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of big personalities. Even Ari and Kate, I hear there's like, Ari doubled down on calling her a cancer. It's like, oh boy. So we'll see if people, show up to play.
So, totally. What did you think of Ari sort of quitting?
I think he made the right move. It was kind of a lose-lose. Like once you split up $250,000 and then pay taxes, is it worth, he knew it was about to go down. I mean, Andy and Quentin's world were about to be rocked because Cirie had them wrapped around her finger. So I think he was just like, I don't think I want to be a part of that.
I'm bowing out. And then is there anyone else from Summer House or Bravo that you would want to see play, or you think that would be good at the game?
Oh my God, that's a great question. I might have to circle back because it's TV gold, and it's a true social experiment. And you really, particularly when you film a season 1 of a challenge show like this, there was no blueprint. There's no tapes to study. So we kind of set the precedent, season 1, and now people can come in and kind of adapt their strategy. So, I think Andy was like, I feel like the Bravo people kind of carried the show. And so I would suspect some more Bravo people get casted for season 2.
Definitely. I think so. Well, Kyle, thank you so much. I can't wait to see the rest of this season and, of course, the Traders reunion. So I always appreciate you taking the time. Always great catching up.
You bet. Thank you, Christine.
Right, thank you. Take care. Bye.
Cheers.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.